on today's episode of the Titan Podcast, which is the very first Titan Podcast, we have a man named George Howard. George Howard is the founder of the Cosmic Summit, which is the focus of much of our conversation because Cosmic Summit 2024, which is the second Cosmic Summit, took place on June 14th through 17th, and our conversation is a recap of the event with some surrounding conversation about the people and the places and the things that took place around it. But George Howard is a very interesting individual who's had a extremely colorful past related to alternative human history, mitigation banking, and entrepreneurship in general. So starting from the beginning, George started his career in the Senate, and through that, he came across the Carolina Bays, which he started to push forward in the world, and his work got him recognized by a man named Dr. Firestone, which got him involved in the research that was taking place related to the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. And in 2007, George was a part of a paper that brought the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis to the world in a way that had never been presented ever. Through his work on this subject, he's been cited over 1,200 times, and he's been a key part of bringing this research to the world. And in 2010, he founded a blog called The Cosmic Tusk because he saw that so many people were attacking the good individuals that were behind this paper and attacking the topics without anybody to stand up for them. So he founded The Cosmic Tusk and started to talk about the research and the people that were pushing forward alternative human history and alternative science, which brought him to the Cosmic Summit, which was founded in 2022, and the first event took place in 2023, bringing people from all over the world to Asheville, North Carolina, to see their favorite content creators and scientists and researchers on stage to present their ideas and their theories and their hypotheses directly to a crowd. This year, in June, was the second Cosmic Summit event. In addition to the Cosmic Summit, George is also the founder of a company called Restoration Systems, which he sold in 2022. And Restoration Systems is a mitigation banking company that arguably is the company that brought us the modern-day mitigation system that we see in the United States. Mitigation banking, if you don't know what this is essentially the system that allows companies to develop and then offset their damages in order to have a net positive impact on the environment. George Howard is a key part in pushing forward the scientific world that is going to be very important in the future and is important today. And he's become a friend of mine over the last year and a half, and I'm very, very excited to bring you the very first episode of the Titan Podcast with him talking about Cosmic Summit 2024. I hope you enjoy. We were staying in the hotel and you had a bunch of people ask you, how does it feel to be done with Cosmic Summit 2024? And you had said, doesn't feel like I'm done because I'm still in the hotel. Now
That's
we're
right.
24 hours out. How do you feel about the summit?
Blissfully exhausted, Beckett. Blissfully exhausted. You know, I mean, which is a good thing. We've all felt it. You feel that way when you leave the gym.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like an all muscle, all brain workout. And actually, it got kind of physical because that is a huge facility. And you and I and all the other great people and staff walked around it endlessly for about 5 days, but we know that place now. So yeah, it's a tremendous feeling, man. I think it exceeded my expectations, which were very, very high. And it seemed to have exceeded the audience's expectations. So that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, just good things were said that I heard from the attendees. Now they're going to hear this. They're going to be like, this is what was bad.
Yeah, that's right. We send out the survey.
Yeah.
But that's cool because we're going to keep tuning it. You know, it's like anything. I hadn't been to enough of them, but I've been studying other conferences. And it seems like first one of them, APAC, is run as a nonprofit.
I didn't realize that.
And that doesn't incentivize growth. You know, I don't believe in that context. Not that it doesn't have its context, but if you're running a business with a nonprofit, it's going to be a lousy business. It's because they don't want to grow it. And we're not running it for profit, but we're damn well running it so we don't lose money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think you would do differently, just immediate hindsight, for 2025? What are the quick things that you think we would change?
God, it's tough where my brain is now to think. More vendors. These are geeky things, right? I can't give you an exciting answer. Like I wish I did.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a boring one and a good one. Or things more that have to be done for 2025, not that were necessarily shortcoming. But on the shortcoming side, we should have had more vendors, because those that came, and we had about 15 or 20, I think we could potentially have 50, 60, 70 and have some of the coolest damn vendors
Yeah.
of any show, just given what came up this time and other things that came across my radar that didn't come. And that was just, lack of bandwidth.
Yeah.
We managed to pull it off, but we didn't get the word out. So we'll do that. And then the sexier gotta have is Joe Rogan next year. Yeah, we just gotta have him. And of course, with complete excuses if he can't make it or doesn't want to. But I mean, it would be so cool. And I don't think it was appropriate. A lot of people said even the first year, have Joe Rogan, it's perfect. I'm like, oh, that's not that easy. And I got other things to do. And second year is more like, I'd rather have a second successful year and then feel that, we had something worthy.
It does feel like there was a hump crossed this year. I walked away being like, man, I've got a lot of ideas for next year, and it doesn't feel like this daunting, pull everything out of the dirt and mud. We've got an idea of the venue. We've got an idea of speakers. Right. We've got an idea of the flow.
That's right. Well, all of that's so easy. And then there are a number of things that, or just have to happen in their own time as things evolve. It's just, you don't want to get out ahead of yourself. Like taking Nerdrotic and putting them in a Lucite booth in the back, like they're, calling a football game, man. Cool stuff like that.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting to ask you this question.
Which we didn't do. I'm talking about next year, in case I don't want to mislead anybody.
Yeah. So I've been waiting to ask you this question until now. What did you think about Bendall and his demonstrations, the technology at the summit?
That's a good question. It's kind of tough to answer because I kind of checked out. It's one of those subjects that literally, particularly if you're in the inner circle, such that it is, that you could think about every day and puzzle out, and then it would change the next day and the next and next. So I knew better after 18 months of it. And the last 3 weeks, I kind of checked out on the science. But the 3 weeks before that, I was into it about as intensely as you could be, because I had 2 of them in the Cosmic Summit secret laboratory.
Club 420.
AKA Club 420. And Club 420 deserves some credit. And the people who bought tickets to the Cosmic Summit deserve some credit too. And here's why. Because I was going to bring this machine. I'd been hanging out with the guy all this time, and involved all of us in it. Said, okay, we got to have it at the Cosmic Summit, and we'll call it a sideshow, because it's going to have to be done differently. And that worked out very well. Them bringing that truck was interesting. It's a great visual, all that. As far as the science goes, 6-8 weeks out, when I first got Thunderstorm generators, I said, well, it's kind of my responsibility, if I can, to get as far to the bottom of it as I can with my own resources, right? Because now I have one in my own possession,
right?
Which I've had before, but I handed it immediately off to somebody else, et cetera. And so we rented this fantastic storage space and got it in there. And then Phil Dubois came down from Boston. And the idea being that if we could, I hate to say poke holes, it's hard to find learn more about it.
Yeah.
That I wanted to learn as much about it in advance of the summit. And if it came out that we found a secret compartment there that had Malcolm's fingerprints and he'd been sticking the carbon in it, right? I'd have told everybody, right? I'm going to walk in there with something that's completely bogus. But it kind of came a little close. The stock dropped hard after Phil got on it. Phil had an incredible intuitive insight. I was proud to be there and see it was real science, real analysis, because a lot of people have looked at the Thunderstorm generator I mean,
A
we've
lot of
seen some smart people
in a lot of different countries.
Exactly. And Phil's one of the smarter ones, of course. And then he had spent more time with it than anybody.
Probably
That's
anybody
right.
other than Malcolm.
That's right. That's right. Certainly in modern times.
Yeah.
Certainly the modern iterations of it. And then he had an insight. And it was basically, I wonder if there's a vortices of fresh air being sucked into it as well as the pumping out of the emissions. I said, damn, man, that's maybe. I got to know too. He said, well, let's get some smoke. So we ordered some smoke bombs from Amazon. It took like 3 days to get those things. We did other stuff in the meantime. And we lit that stuff, and damn if he wasn't right. And then that's an entirely new physical property of the machine that had not been proposed or discovered, if you will. And it's a very interesting one because what that does, and we're still working on it, that's why we're not to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Maybe by a long damn way.
Yeah, who knows? Who
That's
knows
right.
where it's at? Because Bob Greenyer, I don't know if you heard him say
Yeah.
this while we were there.
Yeah.
Somebody responded to his live stream.
Yeah.
So for context for everybody, Bob did a live stream right before the summit and talked about what his take was on the counter-rotating vortices coming into the machine. He said somebody reached out to him and was sending him studies about how a lot of engines, power engines and generators, have a process where they're pulling air into it. And it's well researched and well documented. So,
Yeah, and I heard some of that. Like I said, I wasn't paying close attention.
yeah, I was too close to it this time.
Yeah. And I guess all I'm saying is, first of all, is this the same thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm very curious about that and don't want it to not be or to be, but that's what occurs to me. I want to know, do those, because I've heard there are other instances of this, but it never occurred to somebody. And frankly, it could fool the analyzer. The analyzer is made for 99% of engines that, who knows what the 1% is, and maybe the 1% had never been noted, maybe it had. But those that pull air in, it could affect it differently. Now, it's interesting because then you're like, did the amazing Bendall pull a fast one on us, right? You'd kind of like to, almost close the door on it and say, yeah, okay. And everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it's very possible that he had never noted that. And he didn't know if he can fool everybody else. And then you go test it and you're like Malcolm and you're thinking all sorts of weird things are happening all the time. And then something like that and you're testing and you go, I've discovered something that perhaps isn't all that. But it may be all that because Bob also says it's the best catalytic converter ever invented.
And it's cheaper.
That's right. That's what makes it great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no damn platinum in it and shit like that.
Yeah. Whatever it is that people rob out of the bottom of Priuses.
Yeah. So science is interesting that way.
Yeah. So I find the process of this to be, or I did at the summit, to be exhausting to watch people constantly ask the same questions that we had been asking for a year and a half and then hear the same answers, and there's all these open questions in the air. When you're looking at this from the outside, organizing all of this, sourcing all the speakers there, how do you deal with the bold claims? Because there's a lot of them and there's a lot of proposed theories.
Well, I've had to think first of all, it's epistemology. Right? The search for the truth and what's the proper process for searching for the truth, right? And there's another great word that I am very comfortable with ambiguity. And I think that's an important, maybe defining characteristic of the Cosmic Summit attendees and organizers and speakers, certainly some of them, that you got to be comfortable with ambiguity. There is a big slice of the population that, one, they don't have time, so they want a yes or no. But two, they might just be only suited to yeses or nos.
Yeah.
And they might be suited to judging a yes or no immediately because that's the only thing they can be comfortable with. And I've seen that a number of times with Malcolm, where there was no way somebody knew it was no.
Yeah.
But they'll say no because that's their math, and that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But again, we are comfortable with ambiguity at the Cosmic Summit.
Yeah.
So saying we don't know is fine. In fact, that's the most exciting stuff. Give me the stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, with Malcolm, it's so direct. It's like, no, this is the way it is. This is what it is there. that's what I was curious about, because with the inventor crowd, it seems like there's always a flag in the ground to some extent. Combined with the crowd that is okay with ambiguity, organizers that are okay with it, do you find it to be something that you want to warn people about, that there's going to be a stake in the ground beforehand? So when people are interacting, I had a lot of people come up to me, say, hey, what is this machine? Hey, I know you were in India. What do you think about this?
Yeah.
And my whole approach was, I've seen it work, or what I thought to be work. Here's the latest things we've discovered. This is what my thoughts are. And they were kind of looking for.
Well, I think we've gotten really good at dealing with it over time here. We've had to think it all through, and a lot of those people, if you brought them with us, would reach the same conclusions, and which is no conclusion.
Yeah.
And as far as Malcolm's own attitude, right before I left, he came up and, among other things, pretty much right away, said, it's an afterburner. All but said he was wrong. Afterburners don't make plasmoids. It's a very efficient afterburner. So and again, that was just one offhand comment. I didn't get any elaboration, but it kind of came off to me like he thought it maybe was not all that. But here's the deal, Beckett, and we'll move on to other subjects.
Yeah.
We will move on to other subjects in cold fusion, right? We're going to have a kooky machine every year at the summit, okay? If there's anything out there, somebody's got some claims that are worth running down to make public, bring it to the summit. We're taking nominations. I even got a guy down in Atlanta right now that's somewhat more sane than Malcolm. I hadn't really checked him out, but he's got a cavitation machine. So just bring one. This is not a breakthrough technology conference, but we want something to play with outside.
We want one. We want a sideshow every year.
That's right.
Maybe we get two if they're lucky.
That's right.
Okay, so moving on to other subjects, because we could pull this all day long. Taking steps into the future. Cosmic Summit 2025 is on the horizon, but you also announced that there is going to be a UFO conference in 2025. What is the position on that? What do UFOs have to do with ancient archaeology and figuring out the true past for humans?
Because there's more money in it. And by that I mean you got to grow too,
because there's more money in a lot of things.
Yeah, no.
We're not throwing a mining conference.
No, but it's a market thing. What you're doing is, if you're going to do a conference on unconventional studies, we have a conference on unconventional history.
Yeah.
So what are other things that are highly studied and very, create a great deal of curiosity out there? What's the market leader in that? We know it. It is UFOs.
Or UAPs.
So, and I'll tell you also that I've always been interested as hell in it. Yep. And it's only gotten more interesting. And I've got a pretty good Rolodex of people who have very good Rolodexes. And I think we pull it off. But here's the thing, I'm not gonna de-announce nor announce. I'll lead to provide some ambiguity. I've been talking with one of our speakers about perhaps shifting and saying, okay, because it does seem exhausting to do economies of scale. It makes sense. A lot of reasons you would have one conference, have the Cosmic Summit, have a lay day, and then have a UFO conference, because there isn't one on the East Coast. And they need one. I mean, it's incredible that you have such a big subject, and that it's not
on the West.
Yeah, it's just incredible to me. So it's exciting that way. Okay, but that also seems kind of exhausting, particularly right now. and who knows? Maybe there are other ways to go at it. So here's my point: we're looking at getting a cruise ship, getting a ship, all right, which is just like getting a hotel to the promoter. Sounds sexier and stuff, but I like the fact that you guarantee a number of rooms and you pay them if the people don't fill them up.
Yeah.
And if we can come up with that right number, what we're toying with is a Mayan cruise, your home in Mexico that I have visited and will visit again. You live in Playa del Carmen, but we would go all the way down and go to Cozumel. The only cruise I ever went on, I went to Cozumel.
Go up on the Merida side, Yucatan Peninsula.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then has a number of benefits. First, it's one of the most commonly cruised places in the world. Two, it's a mainstay of our subject set, right? Mesoamerican history. and we've got great people that can take us through those sites, and you're not going to have to tip them and meet them and say goodbye.
Yeah.
You're going to be talking to them on the boat. You're going to go get on it, and you go, so I think it'd work perfectly. Okay, here's the UFO part. You do both of them, but you do it on the cruise.
Combining into a cruise or multiple cruises?
No, one cruise. I mean, you got to walk for your run, and you'd have, it's easy enough. You can always split subjects up however you like. So, but I think you would do ancient history as you're leading into the tour, and then maybe when you're literally going back, maybe your big penultimate UFO night is out in the middle of the ocean, right? The turn off the lights kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or whatever you can do. But you would have, you'd curate both subjects. So I don't think they're going to interfere with each other, but we don't want to dilute either one of them. But I think here's the key there to not diluting. You have blue chip people on the boat in both subjects, but particularly UFOs. So if you have the top, I mean, this would be an editorial decision who's the top, but let's say 7 or 8 household UFO names. I think that would be a huge win for a UFO conference, even though it doesn't look like the summit where you're bringing 28 of them.
Right.
Right. Maybe that's too much. And it just sounds fun as hell to do a cruise, man.
People love that too. They make a vacation out of it as well.
Yeah. And our subject matches up with a form of vacation, recreation, cruising. Yeah. Instead of just sitting around inside talking about it, let's
Sitting
go
down for 12 hours a day.
Yeah,
You can move
sit
around.
down. You can move around. It'd make a nice yin to the yang, you know. And then you're not picking another city, not giving up on Greensboro, because we ain't giving up on Greensboro. It is there at that same location, at that same hotel for the foreseeable years. And maybe we'll do other stuff beyond, of course. But a cruise would be, it's something we're thinking real hard about.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Okay, so changing subjects here. This might be a little too fresh because I know you're just learning about this, but you mentioned Pilot Mountain in North Carolina to me. And I did some Googling after the fact, and I am very, very interested in this. I want to get a hold of that book too. Well, have you read?
I got an extra one in the car I found today.
I would love that book. I'd love a copy of that.
Yeah.
Have you? Go ahead.
No. I'm still working my way through it and done a lot of flipping. And he's doing 2 books, it seems.
Okay.
And it seems like the next
his
one,
name?
J.P. McKelvey.
J.P. McKelvey.
Okay. And he is a Winston-Salem regular, and begins the book by saying he never paid any attention to that mountain, except that it was a very cool local landmark. And I've seen it, hundreds of times in my life. You can see it from the top floors of the Corey Center on the right day. You can see it. And the big life insurance company in Greensboro was named, Jefferson Pilot, and it was always on the pictures of the ACC tournament. So you grow up with Pilot Mountain, but just like would happen in any other country, when there's a cool site, you don't pay attention to it when it's in your backyard.
Right.
And nobody did. It's not like it had a sacred rep. Well, it did. Actually, as you read the book, it did have a sacred reputation. It just didn't seep into our local culture. It's seeped and is a part of the hyper-local culture around the mountain.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they've got myths, legends galore about it. And also a lot of mystical experiences from people that were wearing starched collars in like 1890 and stuff, right? Where they just felt something there. A lot of it was, hell yeah, we're through Virginia, because they're coming down on the wagon train, which went right past it, the Great Wagon Road, where you populated North Carolina and whatnot. Okay, so it is, it's not a volcano. For instance, I grew up hearing, well, that's just like a monadnock, I think is what they call them. I always say it wrong. And that's a extinct volcano's core after it's all eroded away and all you get is the lava. Well, that's a great answer. Kind of looks like that, except it in lava. It'd be a great answer. And here I am, somebody who's interested in geology and all that stuff. And if you'd asked me a couple of years ago, it was the dumbest. And actually, I'd looked it up, but I thought that maybe the rock still you attribute. I mean, I knew it wasn't basaltic lava, but I thought maybe somehow it was still attributed to a volcano, but it's just not.
Yeah.
So you've got this weird-looking stone plug that McKelvey, he actually says the mountain is a pyramid.
It's interesting.
Okay. When I first heard that from JP, because we've been in touch about a year and a half, I thought he was out of his mind. Because, like a lot of people in this space, man, I get a lot of really interesting emails, right? And even though I'm just as open-minded and try to always be friendly and stuff, I think I am always friendly. Don't always dig in as far as you could. Don't think it through. And I said, well, here's a local nut. He thinks Pilot Mountain. And he had some PDFs and he was doing some writing on it. Said he's going to do a book. Now, I've had a lot of books too. I've got a bookshelf of books of friends who self-publish them, right? And a lot of them are poorly written, but great efforts. And then when I looked through the book yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever it was, because I still hadn't looked at it, he's a vendor at the summit. I said, hey, this is really well written. Oh, he used to be a newspaper writer. And he did pull off a book. And then it was my kind of book because I love the state and I love the history of the state. And it's got, when you read it, it's not all sacred site stuff by far. It's what has happened at this location in modern and pre-modern times. But I also thought before I read, started reading the book, that the thing on top, the little dome of Pilot Mountain, I said, well, that's not a pyramid. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying it's the mountain under it. And when you look at it in LiDAR, it is four-sided and it is perfectly aligned to east to west.
This may be a foolish question, but we're saying a man-made pyramid. That's a large mountain.
Yeah, well, it's 1,000 feet tall.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it might be just a total, here's our nutty buddy from Winston. He's got a cool book. Let's go check it out and shoot it down, know? But here's the point, folks. We're going to do a field trip out there as things stand now. Certainly haven't set it up yet. But we needed some field trips. We needed some activities, do them before or after, maybe both, take your choice. And it's a great run from the Corey Center up there. And it makes a cool hike. And somebody wrote a book that says it's evidence of ancient civilizations.
That's right up our alley.
Their faces all over it.
Yeah.
Every chapter he begins with one of these faces. And when he was sending me this stuff, I thought that was kind of clearly pareidolia. I didn't know there's a long history of people going up there and going, that looks like a face. Then you walk a little bit further up the trail. Oh, there's another one. They also look like rocks. But you'll see the nose, the chin, the mouth at multiple locations. And then he's making the case that some of those are stacked blocks and they might have modified it. Say that this is easily believable. Say the thing isn't a pyramid. It's just a natural formation that happens to have a perfect east-west alignment, which is totally possible, and a north-south alignment. But then that would have been to people who follow the orientations of the sky and the seasons. That would have been a cool place to be, and maybe that's where you would put some weird ways of showing human heads, and you would reorganize the rocks a little. So I don't know. I'm a beginner at it, but I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it. I'd like to read that book too. I've been up Pilot Mountain. I don't remember seeing any faces.
Well, here's another thing. We ain't got much to work with because one of my kind of jokes when we were talking about having it in Greensboro was that we ain't got any sacred sites around here. We got one Indian mound north of Charlotte. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. That's too far. One Indian mound. North Carolina has one lousy Indian mound. You got other states, they just can't count them.
Yeah.
But we got one. It's pretty cool in No Town Creek.
I haven't been over there.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
That could be a field trip too. But hey, if Pilot Mountain works out,
well, maybe you put information out there and say, hey, you're driving up from Atlanta, take an extra night and go see. There's so many ways to do it. Yeah, but those are great examples of things you can't do year 1 and 2, but you sure can load in. And also, we want to do rafting before and after.
Yeah.
Laid back rafting, not whitewater.
Not whitewater rafting.
There's I guess we could, but the nearby rafting is fairly relaxed, and there's a great company, and I met both of the people. We talked about doing it this year, didn't boot it up fast enough, but Dan River Paddling, I think, are really neat people, and they're our kind of people, and I'd love to have an opportunity to go paddle with them on the Dan River, both before and after. Because it's going to be hot in Greensboro. Yeah. We'll move it to August, you know.
Yeah, and that's what we're thinking about right now, late August. Have
we
locked down any dates yet?
Ending on September 1st? Well, no.
I think we moved it forward.
Yeah, I know. We moved, So it's that kind of last week of August. Yeah. That's right. And that's to take advantage of the best hotel
Yeah.
We could even lower it. I mean, I can't promise and don't know, but it was $179 for a room this year, and if you can get it down to $150, that's a good deal at a Sheraton.
And that's a nice hotel too.
It is. It was a nice hotel. Nice people running it.
Yeah.
And damn good food. How about that food?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
The Carolina barbecue. Yeah, Dara ate that for the first time, and she was like, "Oh, this is the barbecue you've been telling me about." So it was really
the
good.
chicken was fantastic.
Yeah, it was delicious.
I mean, how they can, fry chicken for 500 people and have it be good.
There's
I don't
still
know.
more food.
There's plenty of food. And I know you got a bunch of good video of it because people haven't tuned into the fact that this conference comes well fed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now year 2 of well fed at the Cosmic Summit.
Yeah. We had a lot of
they're
good
not going to miss
reviews.
that this year, are they?
No.
Yeah.
No, we got plenty of footage of food, so people will see what's
It's
in
funny,
store
you put
for
on the
them.
webpage, you can put, 5 meals and blah, blah, blah. Nobody ever reads that shit.
Yeah.
One way or another,
Everybody thinks it's just conference food,
That's right. But you
Cold
show
rice.
some video, as we're going to do, of people chowing down on some good chicken. And damn, that says, look, we got good food for you.
Yeah, and you called it out while Randall, I think it was Randall on stage. People all went over to get their food, and what a respectful crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's walking through line, quiet, while
Yes.
they're on stage, sitting back down. That
Thanks
was
for
really cool to
reminding me,
see.
man. That was cool because I was stressed about that because you want Randall to go long, but you got to also feed people. And I was like, okay, let's try it. Let's go, I knew this well in advance that I was just going to let him talk. And then if it wasn't working, we would, do something. And so we let him talk because you don't want a bunch of clanging and people talking and somebody is interesting as Randall getting any way compromised by people getting their food. So as you say, people quietly lined up. I mean, you couldn't even hear them and went through, weren't talking to each other. It was just totally respectful.
It was really cool to see. I didn't even notice. I was sitting there watching it, and I looked over, and there's all these people getting food.
Yeah.
Happened a second time, too, because I was watching the live stream, and then walked in the room. Everybody's already eating.
Yeah, there were like
getting their
200
food.
people, and I snuck over there.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good crowd of people. Really respectful to the hotel, really respectful to all the speakers as well. And I would hope that next year we're able to get a little more involvement from the audience with our media and with some of the podcasts, with some of the interviewers and stuff. And
We got a good start on the podcast. Danny Jones came.
yeah.
And with the podcast, we gave them free broom nights and whatnot, and obviously a free pass just to come and attend. You don't have to do any content, as we say, because they'll get back to their mic back home and hopefully bring it up, and there's your content.
Yeah.
And Danny's become a friend, so it was just cool as shit. I mean, it was kind of last minute, and he's got 2 little kids and stuff, and he was only come for a day and a night, but it was terrific. Kind of on the end of people that came and did content, big time was Nerdrotic.
Yeah.
X-Ray Girl, Quarterback Garrett, and Gary, and they did multiple interviews, interviewed me, and did a wrap. They did a preview, and now they're doing a wrap up later in the week. I mean, namaste, Nerdrotic, man, because in this game, free media is free, and they got 1 million listeners a week.
Yeah.
And having them be fans of the summit, that's just, it's awesome. So we're gonna have other people like that, like perhaps Joe Rogan.
Perhaps.
And we had Grimerica there, love a man, Graham Dunlop,
Grand
man.
Dunlop, yeah.
Yeah, and he was there kind of like audience.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't there because he has a show.
He was at everything, man. Every time I
he
turned
was.
around,
he
I saw
was. Every time I
Graham.
turned around, I saw him. Yeah.
Good dude.
Yeah,
A lot of cool people. We didn't utilize too many of the podcast rooms, but Nerdrotic did a really good job. Fox Nation came and did that piece on Hugh. They did a little spot there. Did you get a chance to talk to them?
I had one walk in the hall with him, thank goodness, because it was significant. I thought I had heard him say this when we were speaking on the phone and getting him in there, and then he repeated it, the young man. He said, "We are very interested in next year." Right, and emphasize not just an individual speaker, and they did think, they covered the event other than Hugh.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Hugh, for putting us in touch, blah, 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 and telling them about the summit. That's awesome. And then our goal, as you know, was like, hey, guys, would you film some more? And are you interested? And they are, right?
Interesting.
So they have Conspiracy Month on Fox Nation apparently in August. And
That's what this was for?
yeah,
Shows
Conspiracy
me on
Month.
there. Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, conspiracy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll get labeled that for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
That's not going away.
I
anytime
just
soon.
God, I'll take it, man. I think there are people out there plotting against us.
Oh, I heard that a couple times, man.
There were some. I don't want to start talking about people that are. There were definitely some people that thought they were agents there and all of that.
Yeah.
But that you're talking 5 people out of 500.
Yeah.
But they make themselves known.
Yeah. They sure do. Loud,
Right.
loud crowd. There.
Right.
I think it was so. My brother came, and he, as a complete outsider, he hasn't studied any of these topics or anything. He only came because I told him to come.
Yeah.
And it was cool to hear him because the night before I left to go to Greensboro, he was asking me what it was about. I was like, well, one of the theories here is the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. And I told him that potentially 12,800 years ago, there was a
Potentially.
Hey,
I don't
who
know
knows?
about them civilizations, but that shit happened. Okay,
Yeah,
move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just giving him some
playing.
evidence to work with. And
Yeah.
he was like, you mean to tell me they don't believe in flat Earth? And I was like, dude, you got the wrong
Yeah, people run too
crowd.
far with the ball.
Yeah, you got the wrong crowd. And after he left, I just saw him right before I came over
Oh, yeah?
here. He was like, man, I cannot believe what I listened to. I have so much to unpack and relearn. Yes,
Really?
he's talking about Bob Greenier.
Yeah.
He was talking about Chandra Wickramasinghe
Oh,
and
good.
panspermia.
Man, Chandra's presentation
Yeah.
was
Fucking
fantastic. I mean, they
fantastic.
all were. But to have an 85-year-old member of the British Empire and truly distinguished scientist who founded the discipline of astrobiology join us remotely with the esteemed professor and author of 20 books, Robert Temple,
Yeah.
introducing him. That's special stuff to me, and I think it came off. I think it was worth it. If somebody's going to be remote, it better be good.
Yep.
Because people ain't coming to watch a damn Zoom call.
Yeah, and that was
You know?
great.
Yeah.
That was great. And
Yeah.
both of them are very entertaining, especially Professor Temple, man. He's a great dude.
He's a great dude.
Yeah,
We
great
got to do another
communicator.
foxhole with Temple.
Yes, we do. I'd like to get both of them on one. That'd be cool to have them both.
He got a little frustrated with my email incompetence and calendar mistakes and shit like that, man. It's tough. when
And we're
they-
tightening it up this year.
Yeah, we're going to tighten it up. But,
Yeah.
and you know what? I wanted Chandra to come. He wanted to come. We had a heart-to-heart about 5 weeks out, and it just shook out and said, okay, I'll come your way.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'll go to Wales sometime between now and the next summit, probably sooner rather than later, and visit my old buddy Chandra, Dr. Wickramasinghe, and do a foxhole, a foreign foxhole, a remote foxhole.
Live.
Yeah, live foxhole with the man in his den.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think that we can get Chandra out here next year?
I don't know, man. You know,
It's hard to gauge.
yeah, I mean, he wouldn't like me saying it, but it's just not respectful when people get a certain age, try to drag them across the pond.
Yeah.
And that's what, and there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the truly heretical scientific leaders, they're getting old.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes them most interesting, is they've held the opinions and had the data for 40 years. That makes them most interesting. Problem is, now they're 80. And, you know, conferences are exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Not even just for the participants. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody walked out of there exhausted.
I think so. I take that as a good sign. Though it's like
Yeah.
you said at the beginning of this, it's like a workout. You have a good workout, you walk away blissfully exhausted. That's the words you used. I had to describe our audience to somebody who walked in with technology that was these what appeared to be 2 glass balls that were all about harnessing energy. And
Were you laid down on that thing?
no,
Not that thing? I wanted to do that, man, and he offered me one, and I just didn't get a chance.
I didn't get to do anything with any of the vendors. This was
Yeah.
a walk-in. Some guy who flew in and got there halfway through the first day was like, hey, how can I get a ticket? Because megaphones were closed. He was like, I want to be here. How can I get a ticket? I said, I'll open it up if you want to buy a ticket. You can use FIMO 15 too. Came in, and he wanted to meet people to show off his technology. And I didn't really know what he was talking about. But he came in, seemed like energetically seemed like a pretty normal dude. And he started talking about these I don't even know how to describe them. These glass balls, what they look like to me. You hold them, you feel the energy. So I called Bob Greenier over because there was these engraving at the side of it. And I was like, "What does this look like to you, Bob?" And I was like, "It looks like glass engravings." And the guy was talking about biophotons and this.
It looks like what? Bob said.
It looks like glass engravings.
Oh, like prosaic glass engravings.
He said it looks like somebody took a laser and engraved this glass.
Well, did he seem a little touched, the fellow?
Well,
I mean,
that was
nutty?
the interesting part of it. He didn't really seem too perturbed by it. And
that Bob shot his thing down? Or
yeah.
Okay.
And that's why I called Bob over, because you know how Bob is.
Well, I'm missing. What are you supposed to do with these glass balls?
You hold them and they change your energetic field, something like that. Some type of biophoton resonance thing. Yeah. I don't exactly know what it is, but the point is not what his technology was. I don't particularly believe in what he was saying, but Bob came over and pretty much immediately started poking holes in it and like jabbing at him and such.
Well, yeah.
And I looked at the guy and I was like, if you have a technology or you have something that you want to bring to the world, this is the best group of speakers, people in the world who have been fighting for their ideas for years.
But he's coming as a vendor, not just walking around carrying a couple of glass balls, bugging people. I mean, pay your $300, you know, and be an official exhibitor. Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
they pay more to be.
And he was just showing them to me. But the point behind this is, how would you describe our crowd and how they work with ideas? If somebody walks up to them and says, "This is my idea," what do you think the
crowd or the speakers?
I think it's a mix of both, but let's start with the crowd.
Oh my God, it's the most open-minded but not gullible crowd on earth. Yeah. I mean, they're going to, there's a range. There's always a range of things like that. We're talking about a lot of people, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. But no. It gets back to your brother. People, and it's fine. People got to put things in boxes until they experience, and there's not a box for the summit.
There's not.
So you're going to put it in the kookiest box you got because everybody thinks immediately UFOs and flat Earth. That said, well, flat Earth, let's say that's a perfect example. UFOs is another kind of shade of that, where, I mean, people who've, close friends who've watched me develop this thing over 2 years and stuff, still saying, "How's the UFO conference coming?" I'm just like, and I finally just, good.
It's great.
Good. There's like 4 UFO people, out of 27. It's not a UFO conference.
I guess Shatskin kind of UFO.
Yeah,
guy.
no, you count him UFO.
Micah.
Micah's one of the best in the world. And and Dan Warren was there. He's got a huge following.
Yeah.
Hell, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell thanked him yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, on the biggest damn UFO podcast on Weaponized. They're like, we saw Dan Warren out there. He's a great guy. I gotta go listen to it again. But I was like, kind of caught me. I was like, hell yeah. Because he went out to Contact in the Desert the week before.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of people had come from Contact.
Another one of those poorly named conferences.
Yeah.
People always, man, you're a marketing guy. I don't know.
I'm not.
Just in my mind.
Yeah. I'm not tearing into any other conferences on this one.
When you set some up, one's APAC, something on procession and whatnot, nobody knows. Even the guy that founded it doesn't know what its acronym means. And then the other one's Contact in the Desert, and you're like, I'm not sure it's in a desert anymore. And is it a UFO conference? I just think names are important.
Yeah. I do too, and we got a damn good name, man.
Yeah. Johanna thought of it.
Johanna did come up with that.
But we were going to find a good name because we spent no less than 2 months in 2022 thinking about it. Yeah. And we had multiple calls with the early speakers because we did a lot of calls that year and so let them off the hook this year. But it was an outstanding question. What is the name of this? And I've got a sheet. I must have 50 names on it that if I look back, I cringe at all of them. And Johanna suggested, we were coming around with blah, 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 getting close to it. She said, Cosmic Summit. I said, yeah, that's it.
That's great.
Yeah, that's people coming together, and Cosmic. I mean, I've gotten used to it. I've been the Cosmic Tusk for 15 years.
Yeah.
But I was very
That's
reluctant
perfect.
to even use that name at first. It just sounds so hippy dippy.
Cosmic
but
Tusk.
I'm over it now. Yeah, Cosmic, using Cosmic man. But I don't know.
But it's not widely used, so I think it works really well because maybe 10 years ago, with a Cosmic Summit would have been super hippy dippy.
No, buddy. 40 years ago.
40 years ago, okay.
Yeah. In the 80s,
40 is
Cosmic
the
was
same
like
for you, 10 for me.
Yeah.
Same.
No, in the 80s, it's like Cosmic, the 70s called, and they want it the fuck back, man. That was just a, but whatever. Too much on that. We got the right name.
Yeah, it's a great name. Yeah. So 2025, we have it coming in August. We might do a cruise.
Yep.
What do you want people to know about Cosmic Summit 2025?
That tickets are for sale at www.cosmicsummit2025.com.
Or just CosmicSummit2025.com.
But the www, what if they don't type that in?
It's okay. We don't need it anymore.
What if they typed in www?
Yeah.
Right? I know. I was playing with
I'm
you.
giving you a hard
I know better
time
than that. 2025.com. But yeah, and I say that I'm not trying to be flippant or commercial there. The more people that buy tickets earlier, and I didn't stress this last year because it's another thing. It's all in the timing, but I might say it more this year. The more passes that are purchased earlier, the more we can plan a catch-cast show.
Yep.
Because you don't know how much money's coming in, so you kind of got a budget in the dark. But if you get a good run, in the beginning, you can go, okay, let's boost this up a little bit. Let's make it this much nicer. Because again, we're not trying to make money at this point, but we sure as hell won't want to lose any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you thinking any bigger?
I think you could bump it up a little bit, but I'm going to take the big part and shift that into doing a cruise, to make the operation bigger.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure this year would be the year to move it to the Greensboro Coliseum and have 2,000 people. Yeah, which is very, very possible.
Yeah, 100%. I think that the classroom day being expanded would be a really cool thing. So we had those 3.
Yeah.
But if we had 5 breakout rooms, 10 breakout rooms.
That's where we're headed. And that was a function of getting to know the hotel. You didn't have the confidence. And now all of our, leadership of the summit and volunteers and everybody, we all know how that place lays out. So we can say, hey, let's put them in the Moorhead room. And we didn't use the 2 gigantic classrooms. I named it Classroom Day because they've got these drop down lectern, beautiful, like something you'd see at a, big university classroom. But we didn't use them. I nixed it at the end. I thought about it the whole time that, it's a perfect place. But you got to pick up all the damn live stream stuff and move it into there. And that was going to be costly. And that's just a luxury that we didn't have.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's just keep all the setup in the 3 rooms and we'll just call those the classrooms. And I could tell that it made me feel like I misled people a little bit, even though I was sincere in the beginning. Because they're like, where are the classrooms? And I'm like, it's yin and yang, saying those rooms in the main stage. That okay, like they thought there was a classroom, and there was. There were 240 people. Yeah. So we're going to exploit the hell out of that wonderful, wonderful space, the largest conference center between DC and Atlanta, and we filled the biggest room in North Carolina.
Yeah, and it looked damn good.
Yeah, North Carolina's bigger than Greece or Sweden.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Beckett?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What, 12 million people?
No, 10.
10 million people?
Yeah, that's right. If you look, bigger in Greece and Sweden. Good thing we don't have to have an army.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay for all that shit
North
if you're
Carolina
a state.
would be all right, though.
Yeah.
We need to put together an army.
Yeah, I don't think, but I mean, could we put on the Olympics? I always think of that. If North Carolina was freestanding, all the shit you'd have to pay for to be a country.
Yeah.
But yeah, decent.
No,
I don't know. This is
wouldn't
getting
last
weird.
long.
But whatever. It's a big facility, and I think it spooked people when early on, probably the speakers a little bit like we were overreaching, but they didn't quite understand how flexible the space was. Had 2,000 people shown up, we could have easily, or not shown up, but had we known 2,000 people were coming, you could reconfigure that room. You could reconfigure it for 3. I don't know if you could do, maybe I don't know. This is all getting in the weeds, but maybe we could go up to 1,000 and still have the classrooms and shove them. I don't know. There are definitely ways to do it. It's the most configurable space on the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, if we were gonna go up to
Yeah.
1,000, I think we'd have to have more heads at a table, and we'd probably make those breakout rooms corner and corner, and then have that whole space with the main stage.
Yeah, and part of what caused some people, probably wondering if we were making the right call was that we did have such a good one-room atmosphere where everybody's sitting together. And people were legitimately, I was worried about it too. I'm like, hey, does you not get that vibe? But I didn't get that vibe that we.
I thought it went even better. I think that the crowd became closer through mutual understanding.
Where are you going? You going to go listen to Bob? You going to go listen to Adam?
Exactly. They found their crowds. And we also had almost double the people.
Yeah.
Not quite that, but that crowd was kind of split.
Yeah.
There was the Bob Greenier, Malcolm Bendall, Plasmoid Technology crowd. And then there was the crowd of, a whole bunch of different people. The younger Dryas and
old Robert Schock fans that followed the whole Sphinx story.
Yep.
And then, Praveen Mohan up there.
Praveen Mohan, man. What a great first presentation.
And he was nervous because he had never spoken in public. Isn't it weird that you can have people that, it's totally understandable, that would get anxious about public speaking when they speak to millions of people every week, but it's just a different thing, the camera and in person. And he did a fantastic job. You just couldn't, you could tell before he got up there he was nervous, but that was over as soon as he stepped on the stage. So we want to give him an opportunity every year. And we're gonna it's gonna be a kick-ass show next year. And thank you for your help, Beckett.
Yeah.
And thanks Steph Mark for her help as well.
Thanks Steph Mark for her help.
We listen, she came in when it was tough in like January, February, and then it got a whole lot tougher, man. And we were sweating it, folks. For what it's worth, you probably shouldn't say that shit. You want to make everything seem easy. But man, in March, we went like 3 weeks without selling a single pass, and it sold like 120 to 30 before. So you're like,
what is
maybe
going
we've
on?
mined all the ore here, and we're planning on a minimum of 500 and had it all priced that sign, the hotel contract, because you got to pay for all the rooms that people don't take. And we had 700 rooms and room nights. And
we signed on arrival, C-Vent's whole
Oh,
system.
yeah, we got the fanciest damn system you can get. That's right. Those are all contracts. And they're all built for what happened.
Yeah.
And it came through at the end. The crowd came through at the end. They're just like I am. I wouldn't, God, I don't want to say that I wouldn't buy a pass to something like this another day of. But no. We're going to have incentives. We're going to make it make sense to get a pass, even for procrastinators.
Yeah. Early on.
Another thing we should point out that it's $432, and we actually lowered the price of the general admission, if close watchers probably noticed, which is a tough thing to do. And we managed to mitigate that some by elevating the original buyers to a VIP. Hope it worked out that way, but we will never do that again.
Yep.
We have a rock bottom price right now. It is not going to go down.
Staying the same.
Yeah, and we're going to put on a show where you're going to end up getting more value than you pay.
Yeah.
But, that it can't be a $435 across the board conference because we couldn't pay for everything. So it's only going up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. CosmicSummit2025.com.
Yep.
The pre-dynastic pass is available.
That's right.
That's what it's called.
Beautiful piece of art, Beckett.
Yeah, thank
you painted that yourself.
I did. It did. Yeah,
very nice, man. You can draw.
Years.
You can really draw.
Appreciate that. All right. Well, that's all I got for you. Any closing remarks?
No, not at all. Except, thank you to everyone. And we're just beginning a long, fun journey for the curious.
Yeah. Thanks to the speakers. Thanks to the audience.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Thanks, Beck.
Thank you.